Hello Mark, hello YouTube, it's Monday already. Today is 1 month to the day that I leave on my epic trip with my friend Adam, who's going to be our photographer and cameraman, all the way to Wave, which we are covering. And we're going to start effectively drive, I think 300 or 400 miles in one day and then another couple in another day. And then we'll be in Germany. I'm not sure I agree with you regarding production lines and compromises. A lot of modern production lines are designed to be multi-model. They're designed to work with multiple different cars and multiple different drivetrain options. So having an electric car alongside petrol and diesel vehicles and different vehicles on the same production line isn't a problem. And I think actually the automotive industry is moving away from one vehicle per line because it's quite an old-fashioned way of doing it, unless you're just producing one or two vehicles like Tesla is. Thank you for your thoughts on EV jokes, Mark. I would just like to point out that I do make EV jokes. I enjoy joking about EVs. I tend not to in public because I don't want to offend anybody. Maybe I'm being too PC about it, but I do make jokes when I'm on my own with family and friends, with you. I know I've made jokes with you about EVs before. I think we need to be careful as a community not to get too precious about EVs. There are things that EVs are not suitable for. Driving all the way to Switzerland is probably one of them, yet I am doing it with loads of caveats and boxes ticked. But that aside, I think we need to be honest about what EVs will or won't do, and be willing to joke about them, because as someone said, if you take yourself too seriously, it's a sign that actually you've not got a very strong position. But we need to be sensitive and maybe police ourselves as to what is and what isn't acceptable. And maybe it's like being gay. Maybe it's acceptable for EV owners to joke about EVs, but not people who aren't EV owners. What do people think about that? I think that's kind of a two-standard thing, and I wouldn't like that. But maybe that's actually the status quo. Tesla-priced cars. Yes, we do say, well, you could just go and buy a Tesla. But I think the reality of the situation is very different for most people. You see, people are brand loyal, fiercely brand loyal, as a lot of the previous commenters to your video on Friday said, and they will stick with a brand through thick and thin. And unless that brand does something really stupid, they'll generally stick with it because they know the garage staff, the dealer staff, they know the way the car is serviced, they know where the local dealership is, they don't have to go looking for it. And at the end of the day, people will kind of get stuck in this, not a rut, but they will, you know, they'll see the new car, they'll see the new shiny car when they take their old one in for a service, and so they don't actually actively shop for a car necessarily in the same way that you or I might do by visiting lots of different places. They might just go in and exchange their old car, their old Toyota, for a new one. Let's face it, the Tesla Model S is an expensive car, whichever way you look at it. And I think that's putting a lot of people off. Even the base model car is considered too expensive for most people. Now, that might be because they see the high-end price and assume that the low-end model isn't much cheaper. And that's not true. It is a lot cheaper. Or maybe they just perceive the car as being out of their reach. And they will walk into their car dealership, their local car dealership, their Nissan or their Toyota or their Chevrolet, and they will look at a range of cars. And the dealer might persuade them to try different cars. So I'll give you an example. You go in and you look at the BMW i3, for example, and you go, okay, base model i3, I can afford that. I can afford the base model i3. But then either your partner or your kids or the salesman persuade you, well, actually, maybe if you pay $2,500 more, you can get this, this, and this. And then, oh, by the way, if you add another 5, you'll get these 3 things. And then you start doing cost analysis between the models. We've done it before on our test drives. You start analysing which of the different trim specs is best suited to your needs. But you don't think of it as this is going to be a £33,000 car. You think, well, this is going to be a £20,000 car, and these options will bring it up to the second price. And you can't really do that as easily with a Tesla. I think that might have something to do with it. But what do I want to talk to you about today, Mark? I want to talk to you about celebrities, the cult of celebrity and owning an EV. I did a story earlier on today about Jay-Z, who went out and purchased a Tesla Model S recently. Do people buy EVs because their favourite celebrity has one? Or do they buy EVs for other reasons? I'm not convinced that Jay-Z buying a Tesla Model S will encourage any of his fans to go out and buy one. But what do you think? Have a good day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, Mark. Bye, Transport Evolved.